Was that a zoom in at the end of that, Charlie? Was that a zoom at the end of that graphic?
Yep. Wait.
We have money to cover. We have money to cover those kind of graphics.
We have now that we got.
Listen, why are you showing people doing push-ups and sit-ups before our show? Listen, people are going to start expecting me to do those kind of things, and you to do those kind of things. Anyway, Charlie's taking his headphones off. That's not a good sign.
Listen,
am I crapping out? My
internet
apparently sucks.
Everything is not working today properly.
I know. It's like our bodies, Charlie, at our age. The show is like our bodies. It sort of works, but not very particularly well under pressure. Anyway, welcome. For those of you that can hear me, welcome to episode 39. We're almost at 40, Charlie.
Yes.
Of talking Florida rugby occasionally, the best Florida rugby podcast in the universe. And the only Florida rugby podcast. We've lost Charlie now. Charlie's gone. We're off to a flying start here. Well, first of all, let's get to our sponsors for this episode. Now, the Miami Tridents have been the powerhouse team in Division 2. I guess it's Division 2/Division 3 now over the last few years. And they have kindly showed up to sponsor a few episodes. So we're going to bring in Jose Bermudez. Are we the president these days? Jose, I can't keep up with you.
I think I'm the perpetual president of the team. I've offered people money to take over for me, and
hey, you haven't talked to me.
Hey, and Ross, by the way, I think we changed the name to the Premier Division in Florida. You know,
don't get me started, Jose. Don't get me started.
I have not subscribed to that change. I keep calling you D2 and D3.
Yeah, listen, it's like the name of the Dolphin Stadium. It's still Joe Robbie Stadium to me.
Yeah, until everybody has proper fields, they have a B side, they have ARs.
Yeah. Nothing in Florida rugby is premier.
Exactly. They have the post on the try line, etc., etc. Okay, don't get me going.
No, but
anyway, Jose,
just so much, guys, for the opportunity to sponsor this great program. Top 3 rugby-related podcasts in the state of Florida, and I really commend you on
top 3.
You guys do.
Top 3. What's number 2 and 3?
Yeah.
At least top 3. At least top 3. I mean,
well, listen,
I was on in the top 10, and certainly you guys, the quality of the work that you're doing, the highlights, the editing, the interviews, you guys really.
That's that guy, Charlie, not me.
Well, you're the face. But you guys really do an amazing job. And on behalf of the Tridents, we're very honored to be sponsoring this show and look forward to sponsoring more related events with Rugby FL. And I really would love to send a message to all the clubs in Florida, be it the men's, the women's, the youth leagues, to really participate and sponsor in this programming. It's not just this show once a week. I mean, it's just the continuous communication, the social media presence, and all that you do for rugby in Florida. A small sponsorship goes a long way. And I also invite you to record the games. Charlie and his team do an amazing job. Yes. I know Tridents are fully committed for every season, perpetually. Just because it really does help us significantly in planning our games. And also, every now and then you see some highlights of some old boys running with the ball, and it's always great to keep those in perpetuity. But guys, thank you so much for everything that you do for rugby in Florida. The Miami Tridents are very happy to sponsor you in this episode and in future episodes as well. You guys do a superb job, and I really invite all the clubs throughout Florida to participate in this. And real quick, I know because I only have 2 minutes.
No, man, you're paid for, so you can go on. No problem. That's one of the perks.
I also wanted to give a huge shout out to 2 reps that came to our training. I received a call from Tom Champa and also from Kyle. And they came over to the Tridents training and really helped us. And they're offering that to anybody that's within their driving distance. So huge shout out. Great to see the refs communicating with the team, helping us understand some of the new rules, helping us highlight some of the triggers that that bring out their whistles. So Tom and Kai, really thank you. Huge shout out. We really appreciated the session, and it's great to see the younger guys in the refs participating and educating the teams.
Hey,
I appreciate all the kind words, Jose. Go ahead, Charlie.
I just want to, full disclosure, I just want to acknowledge the support from the Miami Tridents. I called Jose last week mostly to get some leads to find a sponsor, and right away he said, I'm the sponsor, so don't even worry. So thank you, Jose. That was very nice. I really appreciate it. And I had, and I also want to ask you, because this is something that I think it's really nice of you guys. Tell us about this. I should have one of those. This arrangement you have with Key Biscayne, that you are like hosting them on your field. What is that about?
Oh, that actually is very exciting. And you know, the Tridents for a long time have been a very welcoming team for women's teams, for other teams that have not had accessibility to a field. We actually had a training session over COVID with Miami Rugby, and we've also had rugby sessions with South Flow and others. But it's you know, we are very lucky that we have a permanent facility and have access to fields. And through our conversations with the Key Rats, they want some of the older kids in their program to have an opportunity to see some of the men's leagues participate and get more involved in seeing some of that. So for the rest of the season, I believe it's the under 16 and under 14 will be playing 19 card. Sorry. That will be playing at our pitch, and you know, our nice. Team captain and his brother are products from Key Rats, Gonza and Fede, great guys, great addition to the team. We have several of our former players that are coaches, active coaches in the Key Rats youth program. So it's a great family, it's a great marriage, and we certainly it's supporting rugby and supporting the development of rugby in South Florida.
For sure. Just let me add that this coming weekend, we're going to have 2 games from the Rats, 16s and 19s, and then you guys, and I think your B-side also.
Yeah.
So that's 4 games. That's pretty awesome. You better getting stocked up with the asado, okay? That's a lot of, you know.
Well, we promise we'll be having some homemade sausages, choripans.
Oh.
We may be throwing in some, you know, we have a very deep-rooted Greek influence in our team. Our coach is Greek, and we have the 2
legends,
Connie, who are infamous. So we may be doing some gyros as well as the season progresses. And you know, and last week we had Fort Miami playing our pitch as well. So you know, it's a great Saturday. It's a long Saturday, but certainly it's great when you have different games from different leagues.
Absolutely.
Good, Jose. Well, again, kind words on the sponsor. That doesn't mean I can't stop talking shit about you, though. I refereed you guys last week, and that was a god-awful game. You apparently did a little better this weekend on the road against Orlando. I don't know if you went up, but what can you tell us about that game?
No, absolutely. We took back a lot of the early penalties we got from the game that you refed, and I really appreciate you being very whistle. The trigger on your whistle was very quick, and that certainly put a lot of discipline at training for us. Definitely, look, I was very excited to drive up to Orlando. Orlando is a very tough team. They have we have not played them in a couple of years, so it was wonderful to go up there. They're a great group of gentlemen. The game started with Orlando scoring on that first couple of possessions, and we weren't really able to penetrate into their field. But after the second half, I think really things started rolling for the Tridents, and we got our act together. So very happy, very proud of the boys, and really huge shout out to Orlando. They gave us a hell of a match. We had a very fun B-side match as well, which was a motley crew. I think some of the guys from the Claymores also participated. So it was great to
Oh, nice.
see guys coming out and really pushing for that B side, which is actually really great opportunity for those younger players, some of the older players as well that don't get as much playing time. So this season we've had every single match we've had a B-side game, and that's incredibly important. And I really wish all teams really push for that. We're going to be playing, I believe, Daytona on Saturday, and looking forward to giving them a game as well.
Good stuff. Well, Jose, again, appreciate the support, and good luck the rest of the way. I'm sure we'll have some highlights of your games here down there. I know we had last week. You guys are playing who this week? I don't remember off the top of my head who you're playing this week.
Boca.
We're playing Boca.
Oh, the big one. The big one between probably the top two teams. Looking at some other results around the state, Trident and Boca may be quite a ways ahead of everybody else.
This may be the final
I did watch some of Boca. Miami did give Boca a game on Saturday. It was tight till the end. Boca did work quite at full strength, but Miami
I believe it was
give them a game.
12 or something. So it was a close game.
They scored. I mean, the try was the last play of the game to get it to 23. So it was a tight game. Well, thanks, Jose. Good luck the rest of the way, and again, appreciate your sponsorship of the podcast here.
I have to send you the invoice. I haven't sent it yet, but you'll get it.
You have 30 minutes.
Get his discount for being so nice. Get his discount.
We're gonna pause the podcast for a couple of minutes so I can send this invoice. Okay?
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Bye, Jose. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Jose.
To you and the team. Okay.
All right. Now, let's do some quick things off the top, Charlie. We still need a graphic for this. I know you've had a busy week. You'll get to it before the end of the season, I'm sure. Off the top, our little opening segment about just some things going on around Florida rugby and related to Florida rugby. Charlie, well, we'll get to Jaguars in a minute. World was obviously this weekend in Seville, the second leg of the Spanish tour. Women didn't pick up the title this time, but they finished. I think they finished third, Charlie. I know they lost in the semifinal to Australia.
To be honest, I saw the semifinal, but then I couldn't keep up. But that was a really nice game because they were going like neck to neck, and they missed the conversion. The last try, they missed the conversion, and they lost by 2 points. It would have gone to overtime in that case, which would have been. Let me see if I can show you. We actually invited all our Florida products.
We did, but they're very busy.
Yes.
And we have three Florida representatives out there. Kristen Thomas playing for the women. There she is there, outpacing some Australians. We also have Perry Baker, Shaw Haskett playing for the men. The men ended up winning the plate after losing to Australia. I think both the men and the women lost to Australia, who have been one of the strongest teams here to start the Seventh Circuit, along with South Africa. So the men and women will play. I think Canada might be the next. I think they've got a week or two off, Charlie, and then I think they come back over to North America and play in Canada the next couple ones. Obviously, the LA Sevens was postponed till August, so without US stop on the circuit until the summer. Charlie, let's talk about your little Jaguarized out today with your hat and your shirt. Let's talk about. Give me a review of what happened today on Sunday. It was a Premier 10 sort of tryout along with the Jaguares session as well. Give us a review.
We may have Gavin McCleavely call in at some point today. I actually did an interview to him when I went, and unfortunately I had some audio issues, so I cannot play that. It was a really beautiful day for one, perfect day. There was over 100 players, and this was a free event for everybody. And it was a combination of this first gathering of the Jaguares, which they plan to do once a month. So they get the team to get to know each other throughout the season. So when they actually compete in the postseason, they're more acquainted with each other. And on the other hand, this is part of the I think it's World Tens, and it's Tiger Rugby. It's a combination of they were doing that combined scouting for talent for their this project they have of setting up a circuit of tens. This is
we saw some Florida rugby products play out in Bermuda when they had it 2 years. Was it 2 years ago now? Or was it last year, Charlie? In Bermuda, the initial.
It was 2 years ago. It was 2020.
It was 2 years ago. We had some Florida people playing out there, like Colin Hughes and Matt Core. I think there was a couple of others.
Matt Core was here today also.
So yeah, great turnout. Love it.
Yeah. It was
obviously Paul Holmes of Tiger Rugby. Paul Holmes of Tiger Rugby. We saw in the first clip there was running that show. He's Florida resident. We've tried to get him on. Hopefully we'll do it before the end of the season. He's a very, very busy man with his Tiger Rugby and his 10 stuff going on. But Paul Holmes, got to look up.
He is also coaching assisting in the coaching of the Tampa U19s.
Okay.
By the way, I also interviewed the new coach of the Tampa U19s.
We had a coaching change there. We did.
Let me try to screw up his name because I think it's Joe Hilbush.
Joe Hilbush, sure. You are correct. I know there was a coaching change at a strange time in the season.
Well, I did talk to him a little bit about that. It's one of those things that at some point happens. I don't think we need to go into.
No, if it was time for a change, it really doesn't matter. If they decide to go in that direction,
they went away from. Just to because I have to apologize to him because I screwed up that interview also, which was pretty nice because I also spoke with another coach, a Haitian guy actually, who is coaching the younger ones.
Okay.
They still don't have, which is sort of, weird that and we talked about that interview. We're gonna have them at some point, but they have U16s, 14s, younger ones even, but they just have not managed to get numbers like we have here in South Florida. So that is something that they are looking into, and hopefully we can have more youth in that area, which would be great.
All right. Well, we're 20 minutes in, Charlie, so let's get going with the core. We were going to have somebody from Otters. Is Mr. Corey Fisher here? I haven't seen him yet.
No, he is not. He is not. I don't know why. He did commit to show up. Maybe he's having issues.
Stuff happens. Orlando Otters, a new inclusive. I'm going to wait till Corey comes on to really explain what the Otters are all about. But an inclusive new club in Orlando. And we'll get to him if he shows up a little later. But we do have Melissa Butler from Jacksonville Women's Rugby who's going to come on. We haven't heard from the northeast corner of the state very often on this pod, Charlie, for differing reasons. Jack's men's rugby aren't great friends with me at the moment, but that's another story for another time. And neither are Daytona. If anybody from Daytona is watching, please don't email me anymore. 4 emails today on the situation from yesterday, and I don't need to hear more from them. But I love you in Daytona, but that's enough. So let's bring in Melissa from Jacksonville Women's Rugby.
Hi,
Melissa, good evening.
Let me unblock her.
Oh, she's muted. No, unblock her. Oh, no, you don't want to see my face, Charlie. You kicked yourself out and her now.
I don't know.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
I can hear you, but I can't see you, Melissa.
Okay.
Charlie's just got me on. Oh, there we go.
I think so.
We're a complete mess today, which is no different than any other weekend with TFRO.
It's going to be a mess.
Good to see you, Melissa.
You too. How are you guys doing?
Good. Thank you.
Well, a long-time veteran of the Florida rugby scene. Melissa, give us a little background about yourself, rugby-wise and Florida-wise.
Okay. Well, I started playing in 2001 at UCF. So this is my 20th year playing. Happy to, be one of the old girls that has stuck with it so long. While at UCF, I was president. I'm also the one that got Raul to start coaching at UCF. So hopefully still a lot of people love that. I know most of us love Raul.
How did that happen? Tell us.
How did we get Raul?
Yeah,
so we were player coached when I started. We had a few coaches come through. We had 2 other Orlando guys out at the time, and they said that Raul was just kind of tired of coaching men and wanted a new challenge, and so we invited him out to a practice during the summer.
Ever since.
Yeah. So it was during a smaller during summer. So there was like a smaller group of us that kind of got to know him at first, and he came to the Birmingham tournament. I think we just randomly on a Thursday were like, let's go to Birmingham and play in their tournament, and all of us left Friday the next day. You could do those things in college. And,
Yes.
he was a great coach. We had a great weekend, and, we decided to ask him to officially be our coach after that. So, he made a great impression, and he's still a great coach to this day.
So can I quote you saying coaching women is a challenge? Would that be accurate?
I think like everything, it has its pros and cons. And, even Raul has mentioned over the years, it's for me, it's completely different. I've learned women are a lot easier. They listen, and they don't have necessarily bad habits that men have sometimes. And then at the same time, it's, hey, go hit that pad. A man will just go and do it. No questions asked. A woman's like, where do I put my head? Where do I put my body? Where do I do this? It's 50 million questions before they can get to it. Wow. And so, which again, not bad. We obviously want everyone to be safe and to learn how to do it. And so, that's definitely been things that I've learned over the years.
Yeah, listen, Raul's, he's got in practice, maybe some perhaps for his style of rugby that he teaches, but there's no doubt the success that he's managed to have with almost pretty much every team he's coached. UTF women, been a strong program for many years now. Played at the highest level in D1, etc. Now, Melissa, how did you go from there to Jacksonville, and what's your role there now?
Yeah, so after college, I did travel for a little bit. It took me about 1.5 years, 2 years before I was settled back in Jacksonville. And I always knew I wanted to continue playing, even in between when the Naples women were still around. I played with them for about, obviously very far away, but still played with them for about 6 months and went to a nationals with them. So that was, a lot of fun, and kind of, we had always played them in college, but my first foray into like women's rugby. And then, so came back to Jacksonville, just, decided to start it like anything. It was a lot of work, a lot of recruitment, a lot of hitting the pavement. But the men's team was great. Bob Gorder was the president at the time. He had been president for a long time and was very supportive in giving us field space, giving us money to help get started and all that. So, and that was about 2006. And, we did start to get a few girls that had played before. Obviously, having some experience helps. And at first I was a coach player. We started to get some coaching. So throughout the years, on and off, we've had different coaches. But definitely, having a coach helped, being able to focus more on playing and recruiting and that stuff. So, yeah, and from there, the team has just grown along with, Florida women, adding Tampa, Fort Miami, Indian River. And so having more women's teams to play always helps. And being in Jacksonville is a great location. We can easily go up and play Savannah and Charleston. And we went to Mobile and played. So I do think that's a big positive being up north. While we love all of our Florida teams, it's nice to be able to play some different teams. And I know that's harder for the South Florida teams to do that. So that's really a positive for us, is getting to kind of play some different teams and some fun matches in the fall.
No doubt. So give us a sort of state of the state of the club. How are Jacksonville women doing? I know you lost your first game this season, haven't really competed, for a state title as of recently. But how are you doing as a club right now, numbers wise, recruiting wise?
We're doing great. So we did lose our first match. It took us a little bit to get started up again for the spring season. We had a lot of COVID on the team. Even though many players are vaccinated, included myself, I was asymptomatic and tested positive for it. So, but since the last week, we've pretty much been COVID free, and we've had anywhere from 20 to 26 girls. For the Orlando game, we had more people than we could fully roster that were out there. Awesome. So that's always a good sign of numbers. We have a new assistant coach, Kevin Wathen, who is currently playing for Daytona but lives a little bit outside of Jacksonville. He just started being my assistant coach this season, so he's up once a week. And it's been great to have him. Obviously, always having more than one coach is helpful and brings different perspectives and just different drills, and just helps keeps it fun and fresh. So we look forward to, we've got another 2 weeks until our next match, where we travel to Fort Miami and we play at Ruggerfest. So excited about that. It's been a while, but I've played in Ruggerfest many times myself, and for me, it's always fun that I can, watch rugby before I get to play it. It's a great way to warm up and, and watch rugby afterwards. Any day where I can just sit around and watch rugby all day is going to be a good day.
For sure. Then look at your upcoming schedule. Charlie had there a couple of road matches and then 2 home matches to finish up. I'm always interested, Charlie and I always talk about sort of the relationship within clubs between men's and women's and U19. Some, are very close, some aren't. Your relationship with the men's team, I know you don't play at the same facility that they do, but do you guys work together? I'm always interested in just the sort of dynamics between the teams within one club.
Yeah, we're still very friendly. The men just had a game, and I think there was probably 12 or 15 of the women out there on Saturday cheering them on. Nice. We're still very friendly. We have different boards, and so we don't necessarily meet together or practice or play together. So it's more of social when we get together. I don't know as many of the men as I used to. They have a little bit of a different, in my opinion, and again, I don't know as many of them, a little bit of a different dynamic. They have, I think, a little bit of older players that have families and stuff, whereas, we still have a bunch of younger girls that want to go out and stuff like that. And so it's been a little bit since we've partied with our men, but I mean, we definitely still love rugby and love supporting them and love supporting the youth when they have games. Aaron Church and Larry and all of them do a great job coaching the under 19, and they have under 16 this year, and they've just done an amazing job growing that program.
I have another question. There's been a lot of talk within the Florida Rugby Youth Union about getting girls' youth, high school and younger teams going, which in the state, it's pretty much, we don't even have an actual team. Wellington is probably the club that has more girls within the club. And have you guys ever considered start developing that in Jacksonville?
So we've actually tried on and off for about 3 years. Where we've had different players that had the time to coach and had the time to do it. And it has been recruitment. It's been very hard. I don't think we've ever had more than 6 girls out. So obviously, when you don't have the numbers, it's hard to get more numbers out. Personally, I would love to grow rugby, even to UNF. We don't have a local college team here. Men's. We have local men's, but we don't have a local women's team. And to start them younger would be great. For me, it's just the time, just coaching the women. I don't, and practice days and times being the same, but at different field locations or possibly at different field locations. I personally don't have the time, but we have made a go at it a few times, and it's definitely not something that we're giving up on. Our youth, our minis, that Aaron Carter, we have 2 very close Aaron names in Jacksonville rugby. Aaron Carter does, he gets a bunch of little girls out there, and they're great. And so just kind of hope that they will, keep growing in that. And then maybe that'll give us the ability to start a high school team.
So so at UNF, there's really no chance to develop a team there, because many of the women's teams, they feed off these college girls, of course, and pretty much I think of all the other teams, they all have local college teams.
Yeah.
Same thing,
Yeah. And so again, sadly in Jacksonville that comes and goes. We do have UNF players that play for us. On and off, they've started a UNF club. But never gotten enough for a full team. Okay. So, and I think again, that's coaching. They need a coach, which in Jacksonville, I mean, I'm sure the truth is, we have issues getting coaches. We have issues getting refs up in Jacksonville, as I know, Ross knows. And so,
yes.
But again, and we all practice at the same time. The UNF guys practice Tuesday and Thursday from 8. I think they practice from 7 to 9 now, which is the exact same time we practice. So it makes it hard to help start those teams when it's all at the same time. But I mean, everyone picks those times because they are good times, and everyone else, as much as we love rugby, can then have a life outside of rugby, so that you're not coaching Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So I mean, that's I guess that's just my opinion on it.
We have some people down here I know that seem to coach. I mean, I know when Mark Patterson was coaching Wizards rugby, he was coaching every day of the week, and I was like, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how your wife puts it.
Yeah.
Well, Mel, thanks for joining us. I appreciate all the work you put in up there in the northeast part of the state. I know we're always trying to get. Now we just need some refs up there. We do have some refs that are willing to travel, which is great. We have Jackson, Gainesville, and Tallahassee, which are always difficult to get to, but we're working on it. I have a guy in Lake City now who's not too far away. He just popped up this last couple of weeks, so I think he ref a game up there last weekend, Ben Walker. So we do have some folks up in the
I heard he was really good, like a younger guy.
Yeah, we had some good reviews. So we're excited about we've had some good refs in Jacksonville, but they've sort of come and gone. We know how much of a transient state we are.
Yeah.
Appreciate all the hard work you've put in for Florida Rugby over the last couple of decades, and good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you. You too, guys.
Thank you very much.
Melissa.
We'll see you around. Bye-bye. Always good to hear about the clubs.
Always good to hear from
the clubs, right?
the far-flung corners of Florida, Charlie. Northeast. We don't go too far west because you start getting into deep south up there. But Tallahassee had a big win. We'll get to that in a little bit. So who's next, Charlie? I know we're all over the place today. So
hopefully
we'll get Corey on at some point here.
I don't know what happened.
If he does jump on, we'll jump on with him.
I have not got a message. I think
that's all right. We'll do it with him again. If he doesn't jump on today, but let's get to the action from yesterday. Week 2.
You know what?
Florida League season.
If we may, let's start with college. I'm going to play some highlights that Michael Gomez sent me from the FSU game against FIU.
Mike Gomez, good friend of the pod.
Because when somebody takes the time to actually tape a game and do the highlights, I want to acknowledge that. So this is. I don't know if you can see the highlights, Ross. You were having problems.
I can see them. I think both teams wearing stripes, I think, so that doesn't help me much. Or hoops, I should say.
No.
I know you and I talked about this game last week. I know you and I talked about this game last week. I thought that FSU might win this. You thought your alma mater, but your son's alma mater, FIU, might win this. But FSU
I did hear
from
Michael that FIU was in the first half winning by a couple of tries. And these guys came back to win it in the second half.
We're in the north half of the state where there's pitches without grass and bare patches, Charlie.
That's a nice field, huh?
It does look like a nice little facility. They've got 3 or 4 fields.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, FSU in the white and maroon hoops, and FIU in the navy and gold hoops. Haley Slaughter, I think, refereeing one, if I'm mistaken, Charlie.
She is.
I do assign all the games, but sometimes I forget.
A lot of times.
FIU off to an early start, but it looks like FSU coming back here in the TAF. Obviously, both of these schools have had their sort of moments of glory over the years, but I wouldn't say they're either favorites to win this year. I'd say they're perhaps in the middle of the pack when it comes to college rugby in Florida. You never know who they might surprise. Listen, Tallahassee's a long way to go.
Oh yeah,
it's not.
The final score was 31-20.
31-20 in favor of the home team.
The 3 college games were not that far. The scoring was pretty close in our games, just 1 or 2 tries away. So
we'll talk about some of those in a minute. I know FAU squeaked one out in Gainesville by 1 point. which was a good way. Listen, first game of the season, especially when you're traveling 4 or 5 hours, credit to FIU for getting it together. I know, coached by one of the best coaches. Is Ronnie still coaching FIU as well?
Yes,
as?
Yes, he is. Yeah.
We have to ask him what his Coast Guard deal is. He's supposed to be coaching the Coast Guard, but I haven't. Obviously, with pandemic things, I think that got sort of
and the snow
thrown about a bit.
I don't think they're doing too much right now.
No, not right now for sure. So, coached by one of the best coaches in Florida rugby, and Ronnie Suarez.
We'll
have to have him on.
Yeah, have him on
the next couple of weeks and just talk about the state of affairs with the Panthers down there in Miami. Do you consider where FIU plays Miami, Charlie? This is always a running joke between FIU and FIU fans, is that FIU always consider themselves Miami, and then we say, well, you're not really Miami. You're out in the middle of nowhere. You know what most people consider. I know you live around the corner, but most outsiders wouldn't consider FIU in Miami. When you say Miami to somebody, they think of South Beach.
It's like the West Miami,
It is very West Miami. Yes, it is. Well, FAU is a lot closer to the beach. So recruits, if you're deciding between the two, remember FAU is just over a mile from the beach. FIU is a lot further than that from the beach.
Oh,
ladies in bikinis.
Come on.
I just love to give you the banter, Charlie. But thanks to Mike Gomez for these highlights. We got to teach him how to use Zoom. Maybe it was just with a phone.
That's next. That is my next.
Mike tries hard. I think they've got 4 games up there on September 12th. FSU taking on UCF. We've got Tallahassee playing as well as a B-side game as well. So it'll be a busy day of rugby up there in Tallahassee on the 12th. There's the home side getting a try there. Let's see what we got here from open play in the middle of the field. FSU going left and making some good ground. Getting back to my commentating days, my brief rugby commentating career, Charlie. I was a color commentator, though. I wasn't play-by-play. But I think I'd have trouble with the Zoom on this about figuring out who's who.
Oh, for sure. We should.
Looks like a beautiful day up there.
We should at least once have you do the commentary on the highlights, but in pre-production, when you have time, one of these days, and have that. And also, I would like to just mention that at the same day, also from Michael Gomez, Tallahassee, he's the coach and everything around there. They beat Gainesville.
He does everything in Tallahassee.
47-13.
That was a nice win over Gainesville. Gainesville, obviously dropping down to D4, having some trouble with numbers. But Tallahassee had their ups and downs as well. So that was a good win for Tallahassee. All right. What Charlie, got some highlights from your games? We going to continue on the college theme, or we want to go somewhere else?
Let me mention as we are in college, the scores that we have. UF losing just by 1 point against FIU, and there was some bets that this game was going to be a 50-point difference, but it didn't work out.
Not for me. I won my bet. That's all I have to say. Who just jumped on, Charlie?
Gavin.
Oh, Gavin. We'll get to him in a minute.
And then we have that game between UCF and UNF. I mean, I'm pretty surprised. UCF being one of the contenders.
That was a tight one.
Yeah, so UNF is doing something right.
UNF normally, in the bottom half of the standings, but that's a good result on the road to start things off in Orlando against one of the perennial powerhouses in men's college rugby. On the women's side of things, we had a bunch of postponements. I know some teams are really struggling with numbers. USF, FIU would appear to be struggling with numbers handily. From what I've heard, and FIU may not have a season this year. Some of their girls considering playing for Fort Miami instead. Yes, on the women's side of things. So college women down struggling as well as apparently at USF as well. Their game against FSU was
It's pretty weird that it seems like the pandemic affected more severely the women's side of rugby than the men's.
It did. I mean, they're struggling for numbers. They were always struggling for numbers, depending on the team, especially college side of FAU. My alma mater doesn't have a team at the moment. We've tried to get things going, but as Melissa alluded to, finding coaches is sometimes the most difficult thing. And now, obviously, finding fields as well. We've seen teams having troubles with fields. A lot of teams fighting for fields out there. We had some games, obviously, Saturday this weekend that was scheduled to be played down with the Hammerheads. So yeah, it's a struggling time for rugby at the moment, Charlie. I think you and I talked about in England how teams are struggling, the lower end of sort of social rugby in England really struggling. When teams in England are struggling, it's going to be the same here as well. Worse. All right.
Listen, let's get Gavin on here so we can get rid of him quickly.
He loves to talk. I only want to hear that accent for 5 minutes max. That's all I can handle.
Okay. I'll put the timer on it, and he gets automatically ejected from the podcast 5 minutes in, okay? Mr. Gavin McCleavely.
There he is. How's his internet connection?
Oh.
You
Not the best.
Decent.
Not the best.
It's apparently just as bad as ours, if not worse.
Man, you should be a pro doing this. You should be a pro by now.
I know. Doesn't he talk to recruits on Zoom and stuff?
I don't know.
No.
Yes,
no wonder he's having to get involved in all these other things. Well, Gavin, give us a quick update on how Jaguares went today.
Fantastic, guys. I've literally just walked in the house, had dinner with the guys to sort of review everything afterwards, and it was all the feedback was positive. During the day was positive as well, from the kids and the families, and there was guys come from as far as Cleveland and as far as Dominican Republic for this, and I'll sort of explain why. Obviously, it's Jaguares, right, for the Florida State sort of team and all, but there's a lot of the American 10s is part of it. That's some of the guys there in the picture. Paul Holmes from Tiger Rugby is organizing that. So that's basically what we did, guys. I combined what I do with ASM scholarships, with Tiger Rugby, with the American 10s, just so that we can raise the level of what's happening with Jaguares. And as you can see, the turnout was pretty solid. So we had under 14s, under 16s, under 18s, and tried to introduce an under 23 element to the Jaguares thing. And then from that, American 10s are offering professional contracts. So obviously those guys U23 and a few guys that are maybe a little bit older than that, trying to get those pro contracts for the upcoming American 10s competition that hopefully will start up later this year.
Exciting stuff. How many Jaguares players sort of pull that number out from the large group? How many Jaguares players?
So there was 79
registered.
Yeah, there was 79 registered players. So of that, there was maybe 20 or 30 that were there for the pro combine. So say whatever 40, 50 of the older Jaguares. And then there was about 40 of the under 16 and under 14. So we were talking at least 100, 110, something like that in total. But again, about 1/4 maybe of that number was were there for the pro aspect.
Good stuff. And before we go here, just to fill us in on the next plan for Jaguares, I think you guys are getting together on sort of last Sunday of every month. And then aiming towards obviously the Invitational in Jacksonville. And what else are we going to be doing tournament-wise? If you know that, I know you've been working on some stuff.
Yeah, so the objective is so that we can disseminate this and really give the guys throughout the season a good opportunity to have a good crack at the Jaguares tryouts. We're going to do that the last Sunday of every month. Nominated players at the under 14, under 16, under 18 level. U23s, we need to obviously start working on that and connect with the college coaches. So that's something that will be a work in progress. And then towards, obviously, the difference being last year, we did all of our tryouts in the month after the season. So you're cramming it all in and trying to get guys to have some kind of cohesion. And obviously, that was maybe our weakest part when we traveled last year with Jaguares. This year, by doing it the last Sunday of every month, the guys are going to get to know each other. They play against each other. Then they're training with each other this one Sunday a month. Then they get to know, and then it's a bit more solid the cohesion side of things. And then we're definitely going to the Jacksonville, the Florida Invitational, with hopefully all age groups. Will be 14, 16, and 18s. And then after that, there is talk of right now 3 or 4 different locations that we can go to, combining playing against the MLR academies potentially in one location. Then there's a sort of the old RCT type competitions. I believe one's in Utah, one's in Denver, Colorado, and one more on this side. So yeah, there's all kinds of exciting things happening at the end of this season, really, the end of this rugby season, which will be like May and then going into early June, I guess. But yeah, with the advent now of all of the MLR stuff and then those MLR clubs becoming a bit more organized at the growth side of things in the academy level, we're in really good shape. Have some phenomenal competition, so it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, very exciting stuff. Listen, Jaguars on an upward trend for sure. I know you're also involved, obviously, with the Okapi side of things. Men opening win last weekend. Talk about the Okapi side of things and some players to watch, perhaps.
For the men's side of things, yeah, the guys done really well. Like one of the big things for us was just holding that team together, right? Like we have such a youth-focused organization, sometimes the men's team gets a little bit neglected. But the lads did really well holding their core group together, and then went into the game against Miami Tridents, and we won that game, which the guys were stoked about. And we ended up with a pretty solid squad of 23 guys. There's several others that are coming out of the woodwork now. They realize it's not just, oh, okay, great, preseason training's over, I can show up now. So that was nice to see. I'm really proud that that core group stuck together and really dragged those other guys out onto the field, and they did phenomenally well. A lad called Nico Siratic played for us when we started, and he went off to University of Florida, and this was his game back last week. He never played at UF. He just went to school and focused on studying. Came back with a little bit of a belly. You won't mind me telling you, he's gotten a little bit of weight, but phenomenal fly half, and we ended up using him at fly half, and then later on in the game outside centre, he was tearing it up. Nice. Blake Parada, doing really well. He's relatively new to the game. He's only been playing 3 or 4 years now, and now he's doing really well with like the Tiger organization as well. So he might be following the footsteps with Matty Core, Tyree that got contracts last year. He played well. He's actually an outside centre or inside centre, and I played him at flanker just because I'll do what I want, right? And because it's Gavin.
Exactly, you're the coach.
I don't know if he was very happy. He didn't complain about it, but he played at flanker and he was phenomenal. So in terms of players to out for, Nico Siratic and Blake Parada played really well, as did many of the other guys. They really stepped it up and surprised me. They were, great result. Trident's never an easy team to turn over, even their second team, which it looked like they had 6 or maybe 8 first team players, or at least they were first team players a couple of years ago, playing in that B team. So it was, it was
I left right before that game started.
And obviously, and the Trident guys obviously are amazing hosts. They looked after us. We got some chori pan and a couple of beers, and everyone was happy. Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, I know you got I'm gonna call it a very interesting division down here with you, SoFlo, Fort Lauderdale, and Tridents B. Hopefully, you get all your games played, but whoever comes out of that division should be, in good shape to compete for the state title. We lost Gavin.
I mean, Fort Lauderdale are always going to be strong, right? They'll come down.
They can be, yes.
But SoFlo pulling together. Fort Lauderdale got a good set of kids, and they look like at the beach tournament they have some good units with them. So it seems like they're going to be pulling a season together. And then Tridents have just got numbers. So it'll be interesting. And I'm looking forward to going and hopefully playing against a couple of teams in the north. and letting these guys travel a little bit. That's that's what we all enjoy, going on those little mini tours to the north of Florida.
Of course. Well, you back to action next weekend against Fort Lauderdale. Good luck with that one, Gavin, as well as for the rest of the season.
Cheers, guys. Thank you so much. Hey, and Charlie, thank you for coming out today. Appreciate you being there again and doing your thing, mate. So thanks a lot.
Sorry about that interview that didn't come to fruition. What a waste. Hey, Ross, now that we have background music, whenever we want the guests to leave, like in the Oscars, I'll just stop playing this little.
We're gonna play them off. Again, Gavin, thank you, everybody.
Frozen there. Apparently frozen. That's a nice. At least he got frozen in face. Okay, there you go. Say hi to Maria and thank you for the empanada I got today.
Oh man, always great food down for the copy.
And get a better
not only when podcasts. Who, me or Captain?
Bye, Gavin. I don't know, man. This guy's on dialogue. Yeah.
He's out in the middle of the Everglades there with no internet, apparently. And normally, Charlie, when play the music, that means they're having commercials. Have any commercials, so we don't have anything to play. But if you want to sponsor and support TFRO, see it there. There's all the information. Again, thanks to the Miami Tridents and all our sponsors over the past that have allowed us to keep this going. Charlie puts a lot of work into this. I just show up, look scruffy, and talk.
Yeah, man, you could shave at least. Come on.
People pay for me to talk about soccer and sports, so I guess I get paid a little bit to talk about rugby.
And it's not expensive. Let me say that. It's not expensive. It's affordable.
No, listen, you put a lot of work in putting these highlights together and graphics and getting the guests. You do a lot more work than I do. That's for sure. But what we got next? You got any more highlights from the games that you've taped this weekend down in South Florida?
Why don't we watch the current champions of high school? They had a good game this.
Oh, man. Now, normally Cardinal Gibbons are slow starters. Part of that is because they don't always have their wrestlers until wrestling season is over, which is coming up soon, I think. But parts of the season by Cardinal Gibbons yesterday, Charlie.
Say it again, sorry.
I said, what are the starts of the season by Cardinal Gibbons?
Oh, yeah. Pretty surprising. Such a big 52-5 against the Swiffle Hammerheads. That's a good kick.
So this is a repeat of the championship game from last year in U19.
Yeah, well, it may be backwards this year that like Hammerheads has a slow start and these guys have a quick start. But as we know, the playoff system that we're going to be using for U19s this year is going to have all 8 teams going to the playoffs. So, whoever is winning, I think there's 9 teams, right? So everybody pretty much is going to playoffs. So not to worry about that. I will tell you that I watched these highlights earlier and I did notice like Gibbons playing a little bit more open that we maybe were used to, moving the ball through the backs. Always strong players, of course, strong and fast. They look at that.
Yeah, Rocky has them running straight and with power, right? Especially on that narrow field that they play on, which is perhaps the only thing I dislike about Cardinals. Is the turf field that they play on. They play a game that's suited to that field. They keep it tight. A lot, as you said, Charlie. Some passes here, half. I'm not sure who it is, but getting it right and making the Swiffle team look very ordinary, and they're obviously not. I don't know if their big stud Reardon's playing in this one now. He's coming off some cues, and he's their big forward captain. More points there.
I'm not sure if I see Rio Sweet playing on the Hammerhead side. I don't.
I think he might play in there in blue. I think I saw him there in the scum cap, perhaps, but he can't be everywhere on this pitch. And yeah, getting it wide here and exposing that defense of Swiffle. Wants to try big poured in by the boys in red. I know they have a game against Boca in a couple of weeks, Cardinal.
Next week they are playing Key Biscayne, so they're going to be at the Tridents field.
Okay, yes, I know. Key Biscayne obviously struggling with the fields, just because of their situation down there on the island. Gibbons 5 home games, 73 away games this year. I don't know how it happened, but according to your schedule, anyway.
What do you mean?
They only have to travel. The only long travel they have is to Cape, and that's not even that long. They don't go to Tampa. They don't go to Jax. So things perhaps falling in place for Cardinal Gibbons to give a good run at a title in Fort Lauderdale. Obviously, won the state football title this year again, producing house athletes there in East Fort Lauderdale.
I'm always amazed when they score those tries out of a quick penalty tap. I think this is also a good try here. Whoop. Oh, no.
Oh, don't let that ball bounce, son.
Oh, end of the game.
That might have been the end of the game. Yes, that was the end of the game.
I'm always,
strong performance from Cardinal Gibbons.
As we don't have any more guests coming in, apparently, I just want to comment one thing. Watching the high school games and rugby in general, I'm always amazed on like those quick tap tries that, sometimes they happen also at high level rugby. But what you see a lot here is that a big portion of players they're not really like 100% aware of the referee signs when he blows the whistle. It's like a guess game.
Sure, some refs are better than others at signals, right?
Because when the referee blows the whistle, I would say that pretty much the only sign you really need to pay attention is for who is the penalty. If it's yours or if it's theirs. Because then you can react immediately. And you see so many, tries off of that situation. It sort of amazes me because you would think it's not that hard of a thing to teach, right? To teach the players, pay attention to the referee when he blows the whistle because you have to react.
It's an awareness thing, right? And a rugby sense thing. Especially if you're running that as an offense, you need to be ready as well to quick tap and go and have that scrum half that's ready to pick it up and off you go. And you can get a lot of tries from it at that level.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is the part of rugby that is not physical. It's the mental part, being mentally quick to react. Yeah. And that can win or lose a game, definitely. And it's part of the game.
I had a discussion with Liam's soccer team today about the mental side of things, and just have some sense of space. You are on the field and making decisions according to where you are on the pitch, and it just comes from playing more games and watching more and more games, right?
I'm going to play the highlights for the Wellington against Tampa.
Tampa, this one had a good finish, You said, Charlie. I haven't seen it yet. This one had a good finish. We've got Wellington in green and black, and Tampa in white.
Yeah, they actually the final score was 22-19, and it was scored like in the last play. I think Tampa was ahead all the game.
Charlie, you're spoiling it, Charlie. You're spoiling it. Watching the highlight.
Oh, sorry.
Anyway, Kyle Venter, one of our great young refs, the West, he came over and refed both the U19s and the 16s between these two sides. Great to see Tampa bringing down a 16s team as well. Something.
Hey, and he refed the night before. Kyle refed the night before the Pelicans Tampa game on Friday night.
He did ref Pellies against Tampa, which was Tampa. We'll get to those scores from yesterday in a minute. But Tampa with a couple of early penalties.
Yeah, it was a pretty windy situation. Yeah.
It was very windy on Saturday and a little chilly.
Let me just say that
work there by the ball carrier.
Yeah. I think many of these there were a lot of tries that came out of individual plays. I just wanted to.
Do you see those athletes?
Let's get a little bit of sound here. This is the new facility, the new fields that Wellington has been, assigned.
Yeah, nice
This
turf
guy
fields
op-
there in Wellington.
This was part of a long rugby day over there at Wellington, which is always nice. They have the little kids playing. They have a lot of space here, so it was, and they have the U14s, the U16s playing against Jacksonville, and the U19s here playing against Tampa.
Little turnover there in the tackle and a scoop and score.
Yeah, I think Cape was ahead all the game, man.
Probably had a leak up. What was that?
Tampa was ahead all the game, and they just. I think this is the last try. I think. Like they scored 2 tries in the last 5 minutes.
Wow. Yeah, never over, still
crazy. Oh, this is the last try.
Maybe the first try. And here's a line break here. A strong run there by that man. Nice cut back inside, and he might be gone. Tampa 8-man. Oh, a tackle.
Oh, it's a nice
offload. Got numbers there. Pin it wide, looking for the space. Well, it might have been a high tackle there, but reached out and the try. And that looks like it might have been the game, Charlie.
Yeah, that's
you hear the comments from the sideline.
Oh my God!
That was the last play for the win for the Wizards. Congratulations to the Wizards. Bounce after that. They lost the first game, didn't they, Charlie? I think
they lost against Key Biscayne the first game, which was a forfeit anyway because Key Biscayne was playing a couple of
that's right.
players.
Yeah,
they had a situation there.
All right.
So they
scores. Is that it for video?
Well, I have more, but let's go just check the scores.
Yeah, let's go to the scores from last week, and then we'll look ahead to next week, which is obviously week 3. Is that the top? Is that the top, Charlie? Are we at the top there?
Oh, sure.
Let's go up to the top. I know we have the men. D2, D3 at the top. There you go. So Tampa on Friday night, they had to play that game Friday night because the Gasparilla Pirate Festival was this weekend, which somehow Tampa forgot. They had to move that game to Friday night a couple of weeks ago. Good win there by Tampa after Pelly's win last week against Naples, so they fall to 1-1. Ave Maria, Charlie, I said this game was a shocking score to me. I know UM obviously parted ways with their coach, I should say, Frank Williams, their longtime coach for 25 years, parted ways with him before the season, and I assume they may have had their stuff together, and apparently not. Lost by 51 points to 19 to Ave Maria.
Yeah. Well, maybe also Ave Maria is doing something right. It's a little bit of a mystery, Ave Maria. It's one of those teams that are sort of secluded, right?
Yes, they're out there in they're a mystery town. Tallahassee 47, Gainesville 13 on the D4 side of things. No score from Orlando D4 versus Trident. Who can I blame for that, Charlie?
I'll blame the referee, which I don't know who it was, and I'll blame you on that. And then I know Trident don't keep scores. They did win. Orlando did win the game because I saw some posting. Many teams.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes they post, "Oh, we won the game," but they don't bother to put the actual score.
They post the score.
Which would help always.
Well, I'll give Kiwi Nevin a break because he's a trooper. He spent some hospital this pack.
But he didn't do that game because he only did 2 games that day. He did the Orlando women's game and he did this one.
That's right. Boca defeated Miami to move 2-0. They defeat 23-12. I watched the last half hour of that game. It was a tight game. Boca missing a few starters in the pack. Miami hung around, but then gave up some points late, and that ended up being a 9-point game. Jacksonville fall to 0-2. Palm Beach, their season opener, defeating Jacksonville there 27-0 on the road. Not a surprise there. Daytona, after picking up 70 last week, held to 28 points versus Lakeland, 28-12 there in Daytona, and then another shocker. Hammerheads falling to 0-2 on the season. I think that's their second loss to a D3 side, right, Charlie? They lost to Pelicans last week.
Correct.
And then lost this week to Sarasota. So Hammerheads off to a slow start here in 2022. We'll see if they manage to get things going over the next few weeks.
Let me just say, these guys don't have the playoff system of the high schools, so they need to up their game if they want to be a contender in the finals.
They do.
That's only for the Final Four.
In a big hole now, Hammerheads, for sure. Though at least Pelly's lost and Sarasota lost in the first week, so they're only 1-1. So they're only one game back of those two teams. Tight one in Orlando between two rivals on the women's side of things. Orlando women edging Fort Miami 31-28. I hear friend of the pod, Courtney Kuehl, former Eagle, was playing for Orlando in this game, Charlie. So a very good performance by Fort Miami on the road after their loss last week to Tampa. Yeah. We obviously covered the college stuff there already. Covered the fact that the women's college stuff has mostly been canceled. As I said, I'm here, FIU and UM may well run for the season.
I'm surprised that the UF game against UCF was also canceled. I'm not entirely sure of the reasons. Sometimes it's hard to find out.
That was weird because I don't think I heard about that beforehand. 45, Key Biscayne 10. Boca now after that draw with Okapi last week, getting their first win on the board. Key Biscayne, I think, falling now to 0-2. Charlie, am I correct in that? I think it's the first game. Okapi with a big win up at Cape. That's one of them. Speaking of bitter rivalries, those two teams have had some dingers, as we shall say, over the last couple of seasons. Unfortunately, sometimes marred by non-rugby stuff, but been there for Okapi after their tie with Boca last week. Wellington, we saw that game with the last minute try to beat Tampa. Gibbons 52-5 over Hammerheads U19s. Then we've got some U14s and U16s there. Down the bottom, long trip for Jacksonville. U16s down to Wellington. Almost came away with a win in that one.
Yeah, and let me just say that Jacksonville was coming to play Key Biscayne, who had to cancel their game because of some issues of players being, the soccer thing and that kind of stuff. So it was nice that Wellington was able to accommodate them so they could still travel. That was it's interesting to see the U16 divisions playing.
All right, well, let's get to this Saturday's games. Week 3. Now, this is such a short season, so we're almost basically a third of the way the season almost here. As Charlie pulls the best local rugby site in the United States, BFL.com.
And you know what? We should. Ruggerfest is also around the corner.
Ruggerfest coming up in 2 weeks.
We'll sure have Nick.
Yes. Let's try and get Nick on next week and see if he can give us an update. I'd heard things that it was only going to be one day after potentially being 2 days.
Have you heard anything lately?
I've not heard anything over the last couple of weeks. So I'll have to get in touch with it this week. I know they're trying to get some of his teams down. I heard Columbia University coming down, as well as Harper inside. So looking to get some 10s on the, if you're interested in entering a women's side on the 10 side of things, let Nick Vickers know, or I'll put you in touch. So let's take a look at February 5th before we do that, and 6th. I guess we have a game on Sunday this week as well, Charlie. On FCC Men, UNF hosting FIU. That should be a good tight back, as well as UCF, UF, and then USF making their season debut, hosting Florida State.
Let's do predictions as we go through the games, okay?
UNF is two back-to-back road for FIU, very long road trips to start the season for them. So I'm going to go with UNF after their encouraging result against UCF, who I also picked to beat UF.
I think I'm going with FIU.
Man, of course you are. You always do. But that third match is a tough one. I don't know what USF are going to bring, but I know they have good numbers. So I'm going to go with USF over FSU.
Yeah, I agree.
Men's D2, D3. The big one. Trident's hosting both. I'm going to go. Oh, man, this is a tough one.
Yeah, man. Remember
Miami Trident's, who didn't look good 2 weeks ago. Obviously, some points to Orlando last weekend. I'm going to go with the Tridents in that one, in a close one. Over Boca.
This is going to be, very close. I may go with Boca just in case they want to sponsor us. You know what I mean?
There you go. Brevard facing Jackson.
Very close.
Amelia's coming to say hi. It's Brevard versus Jackson.
Hi.
The producer said,
I know, we're almost done, babe. We're just going over the games now. So Brevard hosting Jacksonville. I think that was 2 weeks ago, where Brevard were held to a pretty close score against Jacksonville, but Brevard at home in that one. Miami hosting Palm Beach. Palm, I would say, might edge that one if they have their stuff together. I'll say there's been some all-season nonsense going on there, but I think Palm Beach takes that one, forcing Miami to 0-3. Crew hosting Hammerheads. I got to go with Crew there. Hammerheads off such a slow start. I think they may fall to 0-3 there. Sarasota hosting Pelicans. This is a nasty rivalry, Charlie. We know these two teams don't like each other. Sarasota with a nice upset of Hammerheads.
They are both doing well, so it should be a close game.
Yeah, I think Pelicans, though, in this one, on the road. Not a long road trip for them. So I will go with Pelicans there. On to D4. Okapi hosting Fort Lauderdale. We hope. I still haven't heard this Fort Lauderdale's first game of the season. They did not play against SoFlo earlier this year. So I'm going to go Okapi to edge Fort Lauderdale. With Fort Lauderdale, you never know who comes out of the woodwork to play.
Exactly.
So, that one's going to be tight, but I think I fancy Okapi as it's Fort Lauderdale's first game of the season. That next game is not happening. We know that, Charlie. FGCU appear to be done for the season. UM hosting Eckerd. I'm going to take Eckerd in that one after UM's disappointing result this weekend at Averia. Trident's D4 hosting Daytona. This is an interesting one. Daytona off to a good start. A little bit of a long trip, but I think Daytona should have enough to handle Trident's B. Ocala hosting Gainesville. Now, Ocala got a whooping in that first game of the season against Daytona. So did Gainesville. I think I'm going to have the home team edging sort of that little local rivalry there. Ocala just outside Gainesville. Crew hosting Hammerhead. Crew B hosting Hammerheads B. I'll take Crew in that one as well. Indian River. So many games this weekend, Charlie. I can't keep up.
Man.
I'm running out of breath. Indian River hosting Orlando B. I'll take Orlando in that one because I'm sure I have a few bench guys from the A side playing in that one. U19s. Okapi hosting Wellington. I'll take Okapi. We need to get the sideline whisperer, Charlie, to
listen,
him or her.
Just really quickly, I was talking to Joe Hillbush from Tampa, coach.
Yes.
And one of the things we were chatting and just talking about stuff, and he said, "Oh my God, we used to really have fun with the sideline whisperer." And he was saying, "We always thought it was you, me." And
listen, I can't say it's not you. I can't say it's not me, but we both know the person that it is. But we're not going to speculate.
So it would be great to have him back for sure.
Let's move on here. Tampa U19 is hosting Swiffle. I think I have to go with Tampa after a solid, even though they lost this weekend, it was a great trip down to Wellington. Back home against Swiffle, who are struggling. I'll go with Tampa in that one. Cape Pirates hosting Jacksonville. This will be another bruising matchup. After that crushing loss to Okapi, do they bounce back against Jacksonville? I'm going to say no. I say Jacksonville takes that one in another bit of rivalry there. Key Biscayne hosting Cardinal Gibbons. I think we have to go Gibbons there, Charlie. They looked off to such a great start last champ. Almost didn't seem to be at full strength. FSU hosting Life University JV. If I can find a ref, I'm going to pick Life University in that one. I think I may have found a ref tonight, but we'll see. UCF women hosting FIU. I'm going to say that's going to be a forfeit win for UCF. And that next game will also. Maybe UCF can try because FIU and UM women are not going to be anywhere near a rugby pitch on Saturday.
Okay.
Unless they're playing for somebody else, which is very possible. Well, the Fort Miami's off this week. So, and then U16, I'm not going to go down 16 and 14.
Oh,
we're going to stop there at college women.
Yes, sir.
I have no any good in U16s and U14. So, and we got to get going. Amelia's got to get in the shower. She's on my bed right now. She's got school in the morning.
Hey, man. Okay. It's been on. So the season is getting very intense. Good luck trying to find referees for all those games.
Oh man, listen, it's been fun. We're off to a great start. Listen, I think there's teams that have sort of risen to the top already, as always, and there's teams we're like, oh man, that's a good start for them that we perhaps didn't expect, and some disappointing starts for teams that we perhaps thought would compete as well. I want to shout out to my Wasps, this caller who decided to beat Saracens today. That's why I'm wearing that jersey. Starting to get back a little healthy and back to things. Shout out to all the refs who helped fill in the state again this. Again, we're still continuing to struggle with numbers and referees injured.
Well, we got a new one, right?
So hopefully we
got a new ref this weekend, which is always great.
Did I vanish again? We got a couple of new refs down in South Florida, George and Auerbach. So shout out to them for stepping up and helping out in Boca this weekend as well. Charlie, good stuff. Thanks as always. Great work on highlights again and all the graphics. And maybe I'm going to try and get a nice 100-foot cord to plug my computer in next week. So I'm not.
Please.
Hang with me if I hit.
I'm going to use the music to pick you off.
Oh, yeah. Slow jam. For the 9 people left watching. Some lo-fi beats, as my son. Well, thanks to everybody for watching. We'll see you again next week. You can obviously check out the replay of this on YouTube and Facebook, as well as listen to the audio on all major podcast platforms. Apple, Spotify, Overcast that I use, which is a great app. So check us out on the podcast. You can bounce your head along to these lo-fi jams at the end as well. Charlie, we'll see you next week for a little Rugby Fest preview and all those million games from this coming Saturday.
Crazy. Okay, man. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll see you soon.
Thanks to our guests. Thanks to our Miami Tridents. Thanks to Mel Butler for coming on from Jack's Women's Rugby. Thanks to Gavin McClevey, as always. And we'll see you guys next week.
Okay. Take care.
Cheers, Charlie.
Oh man, I'm a little bit rusty here.
I'm dancing to lo-fi beats.
Let me get.
Charlie's got to end it though.
Got me.